Facebook live stream. I'm Billy Allen. You're sitting in tight for another edition of Open Season. We got a lot on the table tonight. Man, Baker Mayfield not really backing up that trash talk. Pats are off to another slow start, 5-0. But the 49ers, my God, 4-0. Nick Bosa tearing things up. That running game, a two-headed monster. And, of course, we've got the MLB playoffs. Tampa Bay is up 4-0 right now. Houston has started Verlander on 3 days rest, and doesn't seem like the most sound decision through the first 4 innings. We're talking about all that. Plus, if the Pats gave Ben Watson a gift, I don't want to get any type of gift like that. So here we go. Now, Daryl Morey, too. We'll just say that. We got to get into the whole China, everything like that as well. Basketball not getting broadcasted over there. We're going to touch on that real quick. But before we do, last night, the Cinderella of the NFL season, the Cleveland Browns, so many people had them put up way up there. Baker Mayfield kept talking about how dangerous he felt and wasn't afraid to call anybody out. And now they're sitting here. They've gotten their brains beat in the past few weeks. And Baker Mayfield's got 4 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's got a 68.5 quarterback rating, which puts him at the 32 ranking in the NFL. Brian, welcome to the show.
What's up, Billy?
How many teams are in the NFL?
There are 32 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, so Baker Mayfield, that rating, that's not as good as they were thinking out of their MVP candidate over there, right?
Right.
So lots of guys putting him up there in the MVP conversation. A lot of people thinking that Cleveland was going to win 10, 11 games. Some people weren't so sure. First-year head coach, Freddie Kitchens. But a couple pretty shiny toys in Odell Beckham, as well as Jarvis Landry, the LSU duo there. And Nick Chubb is been the only guy that's been consistent on that offense, I'd say, through the first few games. Here's the thing for me, because we said there were so many things that were key for this Browns season. They got to get off to a quick start. They got to get the ball to Odell Beckham. They're not doing those things. And sitting at 2-3, not going to put a fork in this team, but I mean...
Especially not in that division.
Not in that division, and I think that's kind of why this year, because you've got just a couple with Mason Rudolph, and especially, and that's another thing, I mean... The way the NFL handled that was, again, they're just always kind of contradicting what goes on here. Head injuries are important one week, not the next. You walk off the field on your own power. So we'll get into that as well. But not the most competition out of the AFC North. I'd say you've got a couple younger quarterbacks. We certainly think Lamar Jackson could be a potential future star and keep this up. But for me, it's just too short for him to his performance. I got to see it over probably another season and a half to be able to say that Lamar Jackson's is good. And the thing too is just the risk of injuries. At this rate, Lamar Jackson, I don't mean to go on any side tangent here, but he's about to go for almost 1,000 yards as a quarterback and running the ball a lot. So doesn't have the biggest of frames, so that's a whole different thing. He's been playing well, but that division doesn't have the most competition, and that's why you won't say they're necessarily dead, but I'd say they're definitely close to life support at this point because all the ingredients that could cause a major failure there, like I said, with Odell Beckham not getting the ball as much, we know how much he talks, and wearing the watch week 1, when they get trounced, it's all kind of about the appearance, the catches. He's talked about how many times he's going for a Hall of Fame legacy and stats. Odell Beckham, actually, the last 2 weeks, has caught 2 balls in each week, one for 20 yards this week and for 23 yards the week before. So how many weeks can that possibly go on for Odell Beckham before he starts chirping up? In fact, if they start saying anything, if they start talking and kind of unraveling tomorrow at Wednesday's media sessions, I honestly wouldn't be too surprised if Odell Beckham starts saying he needs to get some more touches. It's interesting. They've got him taking punts. They've got him throwing the ball. They've got him rushing. They're trying to do whatever they can, I think, to feed him, to make him happy. But like I said, 2 receptions in 2 consecutive weeks for Odell Beckham, that's not going to make him too happy. So just a whole lot to discuss there, as after the game, you had Nick Bosa, who was just all smiles. And, I mean, I think we've got some good sound on there that we'll play in just a minute. But Nick Bosa really had his way with Baker Mayfield, and it was kind of 2 years of revenge in the making. I think we actually have the clip here, so we'll let this one ride. But Nick Bosa had a hell of a night.
Just closing it on Baker can see anything downfield, and I mean, some of my sacks should go to them.
How much are you? A couple more guys. Anything to Baker, or are you just kind of like?
I was kind of trying to talk. I don't usually talk, but this game, he had it coming. So, but he didn't say one word back. So.
Well, what'd you say? Just an example.
I don't know. I was just screaming his name like Baker, Baker. You good? Come on, pick it up. We want a challenge. Like, stuff like that.
So this was throughout the game, not just.
So there you have it. And, I mean, Nick Bosa, probably not the smartest guy in the NFL, but when you play that clip. However, it is funny that they were just in his face all night, literally tormenting him, and he really couldn't see over those guys. You could see it. The stats, 8 of 22 for 100 yards and 2 picks. I mean, that's going to be one of the worst stat lines you got to see. His quarterback rating last night was 13.4. So, we were 13.4 points away from doing what Baker Mayfield did last night, Brian, So, with that being said, you've just got a whole bunch of crap going on there, and it's like everybody's starting to talk, is Baker Mayfield good? Is he that MVP candidate that people talked about? Or is he this 5'11" walk-on that he's always been passed on because he doesn't have that superior athleticism? He did all that talking, the flag planting, back in college, but maybe he can't do it at the next level. And I think that's kind of like the hot topic of the week almost is, people starting to think he sucks. People starting to think ride with him for a couple more weeks. I mean, at this point, he's almost starting to look like Johnny Manziel did in his reign, at least for this year. Now, Baker looked amazing last year. His completion percentage was almost 70% as a rookie last year. That's the thing this year. He's completing 55% of his passes. So that's one of the things is he's always had pinpoint accuracy, although he was small. And it is something for him to have to see over those defenders, as Bosa told you. And so at this point, it's like, is he the guy that you can build around? Is he the guy that you brought all these assets to Cleveland for? Odell Beckham, he wasn't happy with Eli Manning, who wouldn't put up the best stats, but was more than happy to force 100 yards worth of stats towards him each game. And you just start to wonder, is this just going to be a huge fire? Is Freddie Kitchens, how long is Freddie Kitchens going to last? He pretty much got the job because Baker Mayfield likes him. So there's just a huge smokestack over there, and I got to love it because Baker Mayfield, it's like, man, you're not in college anymore, and I just thought that was so fitting that Nick Bosa is able to get back at him 2 years in the making of when Baker Mayfield had done that on their field, coming back, being able to do it at the next level. It's like, yeah, that was cool in college. Here's how you do it in the NFL. So not just saying that he's done overnight, but all the ingredients there are ready for an explosion. Things are, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if people start talking out of turn this week, starting saying, I need the ball more, or Baker Mayfield starting to say, because here's the thing, he doesn't do any favors for himself. I feel like Tom Brady gets a little bit of respect from certain defensive guys. They don't put that extra kill lick on him that they probably could. And people are putting that on Baker Mayfield now, and that's something you don't want to do. You don't want to be the guy that people love to hit, that people are trying to injure. And I think that's kind of what he's making himself out to be as he continues to talk like this. So, I don't know. Does he shut up a little bit? Is there any of that in him? Or is he always just been this cocky little kid, that Napoleon complex, always kind of like the loudest in the room, got to be the smartest, got to always be the dissenter, back to the critics? I mean, we saw him going back and forth with Colin Cowherd. This is your franchise quarterback.
There's a pattern there. A pattern there.
I mean, I think a lot of the things that you talk about with him are almost some of the things you talk about with Dak, right? We've talked about how we wouldn't pay up for a guy like Dak, how I would just move on with another pick. Because the things you talk about when you talk about Dak Prescott are that he's a leader, he's good in the huddle, he can handle the media, and I feel like those are almost the things that we hear with Baker to some degree. You don't hear anything about his skill, his athleticism. Sure, he's accurate, but he can't see over defenders, and he's always kind of used his athleticism to be able to do that. But when you don't have exceptional athleticism at the next level, the NFL is so much faster. So is he going to be able to maneuver himself like he was? And we've seen quarterbacks do this over a season. We've seen RG3 be able to come in and trick people for a season. We've seen Mark Sanchez be able to come in with that up, down, left, right, or blue, red, green, whatever. They cut things down to like 4 plays so that he could be effective with a great defense. We've seen it happen before. So I'm not saying that he's necessarily done. I'm not that dumb to put something out there like that, but the cards are starting to stack up against Baker Mayfield, and you got to wonder if he's going to continue to talk his way out of it or if he's going to perform. We've seen sophomore slumps, and we kind of expect it to some degree because once you have tape on a guy, you kind of expect that they're going to go down a bit. But the Browns, they're just my favorite little potential fire there because all that talk from Baker, I'd love to see them face a 2-14 or 3-13, just after all the talk, and then it's like, does Odell ask for another trade? Like I said, when he was with the Giants, I don't think you could make him much happier because Eli sucked, but he at least forced the ball to him the entire game, and I think that's more along the lines of what he's looking for, his stats. So how long is he going to be able to put that up with that as that leads to, with the win, the 49ers become 4-0, and they're a little darling of the NFC West. They're surprising everybody, especially me, who last week, man, did I have a nice prediction with that game. No, I mean, I completely thought that the Browns were going to murder the 49ers, thought it was going to be the other way around, and got to give them credit. They put together this little two-headed monster at running back. Matt Breida is really explosive, and Tevin Coleman in his first game back, almost having 2 backs with over 100 yards. So they're playing great defense. They have a really good rushing game. Like I said, Matt Breida has broken off a few long runs already. And Jimmy Garoppolo really hasn't had to do anything too crazy over there except for really manage that offense. You looked at it last night, 20 for 29, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Really just kind of did everything he needed to do to facilitate the offense. And Jimmy Garoppolo now, 9 touchdowns, 4 picks, and completing almost 70% of his passes. So with that, you know that all the talk is going to be on these two teams defeated, and did they make the right decision on keeping Brady? Should they have kept Garoppolo this whole time? And, I mean, honestly, I'm just kind of sick of it. It feels like these guys will never be separated until they're both there's always just going to be some compare and contrast because you know that Belichick had the little side affair with him his first year in San Francisco when he was sending him good luck texts and all that. How that came to light, I mean, I guess that's the only reason why I like the fact that phones can get hacked and stuff because that was just a special thing that was able to come to light. But, my God, so you've got the 49ers who are just really surprising people over there, and Jimmy Garoppolo, with his play, he honestly, for my money, hasn't been too exceptional. Like I said, he's got 9 touchdowns, 4 picks. Not bad by any means, but probably at this point, probably not even necessarily a Pro Bowler, and kind of in the medium pack. But like I said, that's really what you need when you've got a team that's got a good running game and a good defense. And it's almost like, if you want to start doing the compare and contrast, it's almost like he's kind of playing the way that Brady is this year, almost, in a way, where they're trying to center things more around the running game. They haven't been as successful, but it definitely looks like the Pats are looking to do more of that going forward. And then, of course, they've had this defense that through the first few weeks, everybody's wondering if they're an all-time great. They're giving up less than 7 points a game. The McCourty brothers, obviously Devin's had an amazing year with 4 interceptions, and you see Jamie Collins being able to contribute in a number of different ways, multiple interceptions, sacks, tackles for loss. Donta Hightower this week, coming off of being out last week, is absolutely laying the boom as well. So it was good to see him running around. Just a really productive defense over here. So that brings it up to the Pats. They have kind of faced a bunch of tomato cans. And what does this defense actually look like against the Kansas City? What does this defense look like against and you know what? That team probably isn't even in the AFC that's really going to challenge, unless maybe the Chargers are able to put something, but they haven't looked good. They especially didn't look good this weekend. And Melvin Gordon just continues to drive his payday down and down and down. I'll never understand that guy. He's getting paid $5 million. They say, we'll rip the contract up, give you $10 million. We're not going to make you Zeke, but we'll pay you. $10 million a year sounds pretty good to me. Then whatever the hell he's going to get after 12 carries for 30 yards in his first game, getting some action, and they bottled him up really well. And I don't think there's really that challenger in the AFC. I think it's going to come from the NFC. I really think it's going to be the Rams. I think the Rams are going to have to be the team that puts it together. I don't trust Dallas no matter what they do. You see it year and year and year after they win. Not year and year after that they're great, but every time they win 10 games, 11 games, they're always a shoo-in for that first-round exit. Even going back to Tony Romo, the missed point after return, as Stephen Gostkowski no longer. Actually, we were talking about it a little bit last week, and then the news comes out that they're ending up putting him on the IR for the rest of the season. And what that means in my mind is that he's probably that's probably them politely saying, you need to retire at the end of the year. I think this is going to be his last year.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
How about that for Adam Vinatieri outlasting Gostkowski, kicking the 10 years before, the 14 years during, and still being the guy that's there. My God. He's been kicking for over half of his life. So the Pats say bye to Gostkowski as they bring in yet another kicker who is skilled at missing point afters in Mike Nugent, as he missed his first point after, had us all saying, Jesus Christ. And God, that point after at the end of the game too, that thing that was like a pinball. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays this week on a short week, and then the Pats go back into the kicker barrel. I just was not impressed at all by Mike Nugent.
No confidence inspired.
It's just, how much are the Pats going to go for it on fourth in this game coming up? You almost saw that they were afraid. I thought that fourth down play that they did from this weekend, where they did it to Michelle, where it was like a 4th and 6. I thought that was just such a one where that you would have kicked it with a field. They had to get a little bit too cute for the first down.
Yeah.
And if you had a kicker that can boot that through, if you have a Stover or something like that, you just don't even worry about it and send the guys out. I feel like I've even seen a couple of times this year. It almost looks like you look at the coaches when it gets to that fourth down situation. They're like, it's almost a coin flip with Gostkowski. At least through the first few games, with the point afters. And that's the thing. For all the crap that he's gotten, mean, the guy's the third most accurate kicker of all time, got a bunch of rings, and we're really kind of fussing over a couple missed even seen point afters. Most of the games, you can go back to a couple of the games that were affected. That Baltimore game, absolutely. But when you go back to it, I think you can go back on anybody's legacy and probably say a play here, a play there. And, I mean, for my money, I think he's one of the best kickers to have a 14. I mean, what else do you really want out of a kicker to be one of the most accurate ones of all time, to hold up for 14 years? For my money, I mean, it's just like you listen to some people talk about him like he's a bum because he missed a few extra points this year. And, yes, the extra points are easy, but I think it was mental or too old or some nagging injury there. Yeah, you don't know. But, and, you know, maybe he's a young guy. I actually had heard him. I remember hearing a few years ago that he maybe wanted to go back into business or something. I mean, he's a young guy, and now he can leave the game, not too hurt, still like 34, 35. Imagine being able to do that, leave the NFL. Seems like the thing that's impossible to do is to leave the NFL being able to fully walk right. You know, even if you get out by the age of Gronk, I'm not fully confident that no matter how much CBD he's selling us that he's going to be able to walk fully right. But that also brings us to Gronk with his announcement that he's going to be joining Fox Sports. And that immediately just triggered a thought in my head of the worst broadcasters of all time and how Gronk's going to rank up against those, because I think he's going to be along the lines of like
Dan Fouts.
So I guess there's like different levels of kind of bad that I'm thinking, you know. And I mean, I don't know. Theismann, Matt Millen was like one of the guys that like I thought was like absolutely terrible. Kornheiser, Dennis Miller.
Kornheiser was bad.
And like I'm just trying to think. We all think that Gronk's going to have like the macho style, but wouldn't it be the most surprising if Gronk kind of presented his way in more of like an elegant, you know, what if he was this guy that took it away a bit more and really got into the game a bit? Because one thing I think that Gronk will surprise people with, certainly this move, because everybody thought that he was going to go to wrestling, Dancing with the Stars, something. I certainly didn't think he was going to jump into broadcasting so soon. I thought he was going to go out party, like just be on like a boat with his brothers for like the next 3 years or something, just do whatever they wanted, live off some of that playing money. But I don't know, what is Gronk's style going to be, and like how corny it just reminds me of this weekend, the whole Gardner, the Minshew madness, and it's like they're not even – I'm crapping on the people that are commentating on it, because you got Phil Simms with Gardner Minshew before the game, and he's like, like, look at me. Like, look at how I used to look. Look at my crappy haircut. It's like they're not even talking about the game. They're just talking about, like, Gardner Minshew's mustache. They're wearing a fake mustache. It's like, what in God's name am I watching here? That whole thing, it's like, I think that Nick Foles is never going to get a job just because Minshew has a mustache. You know, it's like that mustache, it's like been an absolute rally cry for Jacksonville, and you feel like they haven't even talked about, you know, is this kid skilled? What are they going to do when Foles comes back? And then all the marketing behind it, these guys that are 50 years old, all on the NFL set, wearing these fake mustaches and laughing at Phil Simms, the interview before, comparing their hair. It's like, what am I watching? So we're going to have a lot of interesting things to watch. There's actually a former Pat, Heath Evans, who you'll see sometimes on the NFL Network. He's kind of like a big jack guy that does commentary. He's not terrible, but I kind of just picture them doing some type of like Gronk smash, adding that into his like commentary and just having it be corny as hell and having Gronk do it for like 2 years and then go do something else. You think he's going to settle in for a 10-year broadcasting career here? I feel like that's about as solid as Antonio Brown's next move.
Yeah. A little bit more solid than that. But no, I think he'll get in. He'll be on. He'll
how
stay
long
with
do you
it
think
for a couple years.
How long? So he comes on. How many years do you think he's like a broadcaster every week?
I mean, if he does a good job, if the
don't you just see him still
I would
as
say
like the part? I didn't think this was part of the plan for him to.
It is a little bit.
I could see Gronk going there all day at 45, 50.
Right.
Just thought there was going to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
Sleepovers with the brothers.
Yeah. No, I think he'll if he does well with it, he'll stick to it for a while.
Yeah. No, and obviously anything is more solid than any move that Antonio Brown makes, but just I don't see Gronk sitting there behind the desk for the next 5, 10.
Oh, he'll probably be an on-field reporter, right? Or is he going to be in the
I feel like they always put the decent
set.
people. I mean, they never put somebody good on the side. You're never like, can I get the sideline where I'm in all the elements, freezing while you guys, I'll wave to you guys warm. So yeah, I immediately thought of like Dennis Miller. I thought of Tony Kornheiser, but I also thought it's probably like Gronk's kind of screwed from his persona. I think that Fox or whoever, well, he's landed on with Fox, but they're going to kind of like make him act towards this like that. I don't think he's ever going to – it's going to be like George, on Seinfeld.
Right.
He can never kind of get out of the – and I don't know. I just wonder how good we're going to like it. But I do think that Gronk is a lot smarter than people think. He picked up the Pats offense as a rookie, caught 10 touchdowns, was very productive, is a guy that's obsessed with football. So, if Gronk's the guy that we laughed at all these years, like the party guy, and then he's like showing us as well as Tony Romo does, if Gronk was kind of coming with that level intel, you'd be like, oh, shit, Gronk's kind of smart. So that'd probably be the best turn on it, smart Gronk, instead of like having him like sparking like Dr. Gronk. But how believable would that be? Real quick before we transition off to the MLB games, do a little sky risers in your fantasy leagues. I got 5 up this week, all right? We've had the segment 3 up, 3 down. I just keep finding guys that I think are going to be great across the wire. This week we got 5 up. So if you watch the games this weekend for Dallas, I really like Michael Gallup. He's really starting to emerge as a guy that gets a lot of targets for them. He's gotten over 7+ targets in the 3 games that he was fully healthy. He had 14 targets this weekend. And if you watch the game, he's a guy that can go up and get the ball. So I like him. I also like Aaron Jones is coming on as displacing Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams out the last 2 weeks, and Aaron Jones has definitely stepped in there with no problem. He had about 185 all-purpose yards this weekend and 4 touchdowns, which equated to 78 fantasy points or whatever the heck that ended up being. The other one is the other end of Minshew Mania, DJ Clark Jr., who is actually accounted for 34.6% of Gardner Minshew's stats on the season already. So talk about NBA usage rates. That's pretty much what DJ Chark Jr. has. Sorry, it's Chark, by the way, not Clark. DJ Chark Jr. has 34.6% of the offense. I remember the Randy ratio was that he was supposed to get 40%. So DJ Chark definitely, in some pretty, he's just getting the ball a hell of a lot. And he had 180 yards and 2 touchdowns this weekend. So continuing to impress. Another young receiver who may be out there in your leagues, Cortland Sutton. He caught a 70-yard bomb this weekend, and he's also been getting somebody that's been getting the targets. So Joe Flacco hasn't been the best. He hasn't been the worst, but you don't really know what you're getting out of that offense. And then if by any chance that Marquez Valdez-Scantling is somehow left in your leagues, he's definitely coming along as the number 2 option in that Green Bay offense. So you always got to pick on that, especially with Devontae Adams being out. Marquez Valdez-Scantling really coming on, having a couple hot weeks as of late. So if there's any scrubs, any slouches in your league that haven't gotten to the waiver wire to pick up any of those 5, you definitely should. Let's talk a little bit about the MLB. And now, do we have any updates from the game tonight? Has there been any change from the 4-0 score that we talked about?
Still at a 4-0 score in the top of the 6th, and you got Michael Brantley at bat. So
all right, and Verlander out.
Verlander is.
Yeah, I would assume so, right?
He is
yeah,
out. Yeah,
Verlander's out. Wow, Verlander only did 3 2/3.
3 2/3, 7 hits.
Whew. Well, the way he's been pitching, that doesn't kill his ERA as bad as you would actually think. But Verlander, the Astros, going to pitch him, going for the close in the series, like you have to, like I always advocate for on this show. When you have it in striking distance, got to go for it. I like the move. It's definitely risky to put a guy on 3-day start, but who else would you rather have than Verlander, who has seemed to be able to walk into some type of time machine and escape that downfall that he fell into with the Tigers, and just kind of like, he reminds me of when Andy Pettitte went from the Yankees to the Astros. It was like Andy Pettitte had kind of thrown like a 4 or 5 ERA for a couple of years, went to the Astros, was like almost unhittable for a couple of years. I still feel like we're just in that so Verlander continuing to impress. He went over the 3,000 strikeout mark. However, he does get blown up tonight on the, you got to give him props for going on short rest. But the Rays actually looking to make this. So the only series that wasn't competitive at all, of course, was that Yankees-Twins. And the Twins, who have somehow lost 16 consecutive playoff. That almost, the odds. I mean, we could get out a calculator, but who in these? We got one ringing through here. Hi, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hey, you're on the air.
Billy, what's going on? It's Whitey from Queens.
Oh, Whitey. What's going on, my friend?
I saw you started talking about October baseball, but before I get into this, I started Marquez Valdez-Scantling 2 days ago, and he had 1 point with Devontae Adams out. So I want to caution the viewers not to look into any of this.
Yeah, this show's on No, I mean, but would you say going forward that he probably is going to be the number 2 option?
Well, he's the number 2 option.
I know.
This week he was the number 1 option, and he had 1 point for me. So
you've never had anybody on your team have a bad week? I mean, come on. I'm giving you waiver wire guys here. I can't do you a favor. This is how you think. This is how you thank me.
I just want to caution the audience on Marquez Valdez-Scantling, because like he was in line to have a great game. Well, not a great game, but he was like, with Devontae Adams out, who else was going to catch the balls? And all he did was run the ball like a million times, and he got nothing. So
I just feel like no matter what they do running before you go into whatever, it's like they always start out trying to run the ball. I was saying, obviously Aaron Williams had a crazy game, but like I think they're going to end up just throwing the ball all the time. Like that's kind of what they become. So, yeah, Valdez-Scantling hasn't been amazing, but he's 6'4", and he's Aaron Rodgers number 2 if you want to drop him. And
yeah, but I mean we could have a whole separate show on fantasy. I mean, nothing makes sense this year in fantasy in terms of football. But what I really wanted to do is call in because I'm watching the Astros game right now.
Yeah.
And I wanted to call in and give my take on what's probably going to happen with the Yankees Astros ALCS. I mean, even if the Astros lose tonight, which it looks like they may lose tonight, it's still pretty much a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Astros-Yankees ALCS, which is going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be probably one of the best matchups in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, Tanaka has been pitching out of this world, right? And
well, with Tanaka, like, it's crazy. As a Yankee fan, I've like been to multiple games where Tanaka just like completely gets destroyed, But in the postseason, he's been amazing. It's really weird. Like he's like an ultimate postseason pitcher.
Yeah, I was actually looking at this stat today about like
he's
how he
got
is
like
one
a
of the best.
1.5. Yeah, he's got like a 1.5 ERA in the postseason or something ridiculous. But yeah, I wanted to call in and weigh in on what's probably going to be the Astros-Yankees World Series. Not World Series, ALCS matchup.
You changing up leagues on us now? All right. What do you
I mean,
got?
let's be real. Like whoever wins the ALCS is probably going to win the World Series. I mean, it's not a foregone conclusion, but I mean, the Astros and Yankees, I feel, are far superior than anybody in the NL. But
yeah,
I wanted to.
I definitely think the Yankees look incredible. I mean, I try to keep it as objective as I can, and I mean, I think the Yankees look incredible. You have so much power all over that lineup. You have good pitching. The Yankees look really good. I mean, they went straight through the Twins. So I definitely agree with you. I don't think, and it seems like every year, it's probably like an AL team that comes out and ends up beating the Dodgers, or at least it's been the last few years.
Yeah.
So
That's how it's been.
I definitely think that's kind of like the cream of the crop. There is the Astros, Yankees series. So tell us how it plays out, Whitey.
So I mean, the Yankees are the underdog. They're the Astros are the favorites in Vegas, but I'm going to give you reasons why I think you should bet the Yankees, because I'm being completely objective over here. Like, I'm a Yankee fan. But the last time, we played the Astros in the ALCS 2 years ago, and we brought them to 7 games, right? We went to the 7th game. And I just randomly pulled up the Game 7 box score from 2 years ago, and I'm looking at our roster, and the Yankees have dramatically increased their team. Like, their infield is 20 times better than it was. And so I look at, let's say look at third base. We had Todd Frazier. Todd Frazier cannot hit the baseball, dude. Like, this guy bats 220. Like, he has some power, but he can't hit the baseball. And then we look at first base. We replaced Greg Bird with DJ LeMahieu. DJ LeMahieu I think he's going to be polling at second place for MVP voting behind Mike Trout. Like, this guy is an absolute savage. This year he batted above 380 with runners in scoring position. Like, he's a savage.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember a few years ago when you're talking about how you've replaced this infield. I can remember you being excited about the Troy Tulowitzki signing. Remember that?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is before I was aware of my next point, who is Gio Urshela.
Yeah.
If Gio Urshela, dude, like, this guy came out of nowhere. Okay, so like, our third baseman was Miguel Andujar, and some freak play happened where he like tore his shoulder up. He had to get surgery. He was out the year, so we call up some dude, Gio Urshela. He was a cast-off. I think he was like signed with the Indians or something. We brought him up. He's played most of the year. He's batted I think his final numbers are like 315 batting average with like 27 home runs. This dude is nasty, and he's a Gold Glove third baseman. Like, I've watched numerous plays where he just makes ridiculous plays at third base. And then I looked at the DH of that game. It was Chase Headley. Do you remember this dude, Chase Headley?
Yes,
Healy?
I do. So the point is that you guys have upgraded huge, and what? Houston's lineup is not as good now?
Well, Houston's lineup is pretty much the same as it was then when we took them to 7 games. But we made major improvements. And so like, Chase Headley, that's one guy. He was the DH in Game 7 that we lost to the Astros in the ALCS 2 years ago. I literally forgot this guy existed. I looked at the
well,
box.
Just because you forgot
Chase Headley, I'm like, who the hell? Like, I completely forgot who this dude was. I had to like Google search and like Google image like Yankees Chase Headley. I'm like, And then when the results came, I'm like, oh yeah, that's that dude. That's the dude that like didn't do anything.
All right, so
So
basically
we replaced him with Edwin Encarnacion.
Oh,
who,
that was unfair, by the way.
dude, I'm pretty sure like a stat came up where like I'm not sure if it's 2011, 2012, something like that. But since then, Edwin Encarnacion has hit more home runs than anybody in baseball since like 2012.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
And my final point, which I emphasize the most.
Are you even going to mention the Astros once?
I will. Once I go over the major improvements that the Yankees made, I'll go over the Astros and how it matches up. So when we look at second base, when we lost the Astros, we had Starlin Castro. You know Starlin Castro, right?
Yeah.
Like he's a good player, but he's pretty average, right? Like he's nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I hardly write these days.
We replaced him with Gleyber Torres.
Oh,
dude,
God.
Gleyber Torres is. I'm saying this right now. Like you can. Like this is recorded right now. Gleyber Torres is going to go on to be the best Yankees second baseman of all time. And I'm not even going out on a limb because
we made sure that recorded, right?
That's recorded.
Because he's done this before. I mean, we don't want to bring up your track record. So I mean, I don't know why you'd want anything recorded. But I'm glad we got it.
Billy, I want this recorded because this will be a I told you so moment. Listen, Gleyber Torres, like, and when I say that because mostly there's no legendary Yankee second baseman. I look at the history, like what's the best Yankee second baseman? Was it like Willie Rudolph? Like I don't even know.
Yeah, his WAR is probably going to be like 30 next year. I feel like.
Like from my perspective, the best second baseman Yankee, from my experience, has been Robinson Cano, and we all know that he was doing roids. You know, like he got popped for PEDs last year. And Gleyber has shown that he's better than Robinson Cano. And let me give you this stat, right? So he's 22 years old. This kid is an absolute stud, right? He's an absolute stud. I don't know if you've watched him. Like, I've watched him every single game. I've watched every single game this year. He had 38 home runs this year. There's only one person in the history of the major leagues that's hit as many home runs as him before turning 23. That's A-Rod. He hit 38 home runs. A-Rod hit 42 home runs in 1998.
No, honestly, it's funny because when you talk about it, I can't think of many second basemen who could crush it without, hitting like a like you think of your Dan Uglas or something. Like when you think of like a power second, but it's like he was going to hit like 240, like not have anything near. And we get crazy up here in Boston talking about how good some of these young guys hit, and then I feel like your entire lineup, you're like young stud. This guy's a young stud. And then when you get into it, too, it's like Stanton didn't play. Just it's like unfair. So, I think you guys are set up really well this year, but I feel like you guys will probably even be better next year. So.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that's not true because Severino missed the whole entire year due to an injury. So, like, he made 2 starts before the playoffs. So he's basically in spring training mode. But if Severino is healthy and healthy for like a whole year, if Severino's on point, he's as good as any ace in the league. And that's the Astros' huge thing. Like that's our obstacle is facing Verlander, who basically got shelled today, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been watching the Tampa Bay game, in the Astros game. Like
he gave
Verlander
up 4.
exited in the 4th inning, gave up 4 runs. But
well, hey.
Yeah, so basically, I feel really good about the Yankees against the Astros, and also like if this game turns out where the Astros have to play a Game 5, the Yankees don't have to face Verlander in Houston. So that means they can easily take a game in Houston, and that's the difference between the series because the Astros and the Yankees both have huge home field advantages. So if the Yankees, it's basically
that's what you think.
That's
what you think it comes down to. You guys get a game there, and then.
Yeah, it's basically whoever wins on the road wins the series. That's kind of that's how it played out in 2016.
Yeah. So I mean, it seems like you think it's going to play out pretty similarly to 2016, except for you guys have a much more stacked lineup.
Yeah,
right. Like you guys,
as I illustrated before, we completely upgraded our infield and our lineup, and our defense is also really on point. Like, I don't know if you followed last year, Gary Sanchez had a problem with pass balls.
Oh yeah, I was well aware.
He had a huge problem with this. Yeah. I mean, this is all over the media. This year, he completely fixed that. I watched every single game this year. I do not recall him passing balls at all. And this playoff series against the Twins, he's also shown that he's an elite frame pitcher. Like there was last night, there was multiple times where a ball was thrown. It was like right outside the zone, but he framed it right into the zone. And you can hear the crowd like moaning, like, "Oh, this ball!" From like that's just a brilliant frame job. Like
just scheming over there on that frame.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's baseball, dude. Just scheming. Baseball is about scheming. That's how it is.
Yeah, everything in life is kind of, right? Good stuff out of Whitey, always bringing good values to the show, telling us about the importance of scheming, as well as the latest on the Yankees. Appreciate you calling in tonight, man. And, so the Yankees are set to do pretty well, but, it's definitely going to come down to that young Studley lineup. You got Claybar Torres. You just have so much power, and they don't even have Stanton in there. The thing for me is that they clearly have an ace, but who's there really? Is J.A. Happ really somebody that you can? I guess I don't know. I still feel like the Astros really have the. I still feel like the Astros have the pitching advantage. So when it comes down to pitching, I don't know. I think the Yankees are kind of going to bash their way there. That would be like my ultimate say on it. But I still do think probably the Astros maybe have the pitching edge for now. I mean, when you're still asking Sabathia and I don't know. I don't think their lineup's exceptionally great. But you can't get through their hitters. So they're just insane in the box. How about the other series? The other series that have been pretty exciting too. You had Molina in the 10th inning the other night with one in extras that put the Braves up. The Cards over the Braves 5-4, knotting up that series. So you have a lot of competition actually. Most of these series looking like they're going to be knotted up at 2-2, provided that if Tampa wins, you're going to have most of these series knotted up at 2-2. So you're getting most of what you can ask for because a lot of times these first series I feel aren't as competitive. Get through those teams a little bit quicker. So anytime you can have 5-game series and have those teams matching up 2-2, have them in one game to play it all, it's kind of the ultimate situation. I just kind of have to laugh at the Twins. I mean, 101 games this year. The MLB record for home runs, they kind of just set records all over their team and across baseball, and then they just 3 games and it's over. And it's just like 16 straight in the playoffs.
And most of them, like these most recent 3, have not even been close.
Yeah, and the entire series aren't. I mean, if you lose 16 straight, obviously you're just getting swept. It's gonna be terrible. I mean, keep the receipts on the postseason gear if you're a Twins fan. So as we get through some of that, actually another pretty compelling start is the the Dodgers are going to go against Strasburg in a Game 5. So you got to like that. The Nationals kind of trying to do what they can to get Strasburg to that situation. Ultimately, in that Game 5, they're able to do it. And, so we'll see what the Dodgers do, because I feel like they've been the representative for the National League for at least 2 out of the last 3 years. So let's see somebody else do something. Let's see what the Natties can do. We talked about them last week. They've been the surprise team. So, are we Strasburg fans, Brian?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like this Nationals team.
Yeah. They're gritty.
Definitely.
No Harper,
Definitely.
and it's weird sometimes when these teams lose the superstar, like that Mariners team that won 1 million games. They had just lost A-Rod and Griffey, and then they go win 115 games. It's like, what did you do to get better? Oh, we got rid of our 2 MVPs, and then we were great. The Twins are terrible, and the Yankees are absolute monsters in the box. That's how I would probably sum that up. Now, I guess as we kick it around to the NBA, Daryl Morey's tweet, I don't even know how to, like I feel like he didn't even say anything crazy, but I don't even know if saying that is something crazy. But he sent out a tweet that was not apparently taken the right way as showing support for the protesters in Hong Kong, and China is outlawing the NBA there for the time being. Adam Silver is going to meet with representatives there. James Harden the other day was saying that we love China in a tweet or something like that. But you've got Daryl Morey sending tweets out, and now the NBA is in the risk of losing a lot of business in China. Truly the weirdest in our all too offended society. No more basketball in China, I guess. Unless Adam Silver has a good meeting. And now that you get measured without your shoes, we've got all kinds of crazy stuff going on Twitter. Oh, Kevin Durant, 6'10", Taco Falls, 7'5". Are we really that amazed? Is it really that devastating to find out that Taco Fall isn't 7'7" and that he's 7'5" instead? So I don't even know why the change. But now you've got guys that are measured without wearing their shoes, and now we know that Taco Fall is actually 7'5". Kevin Durant, 6'10", and all this news comes out about Draymond Green. Oh, he's 6'5". He's got to be one of the greatest defenders of his generation. It's like, why are we getting all excited about these guys' heights? I don't know. I don't think it really matters. Like the intro that they give these guys. Like they always say, AI was maybe like 5'10", maybe like 6 foot. Like nobody really cares to get the guy actually measured, but now the NBA does enough so that we know the exact height of our players, and that we can't assume that they're mythological creatures that are 7'7". They're only 7'5". However, I guess talking about big numbers there, Kyle Lowry getting a 1-year, $30 million extension. I was, color me surprised on that. I thought he'd get extended, get whatever type of offer, but $31 million. I guess that's a team that's going all for it. They don't have Kawhi. They kept a lot of the old pieces. They kept Gasol for the extra year. But Kyle Lowry for a year at $31 million, I do not think that's a easy pill to swallow. And you've got LeBron and Anthony Davis looking really well in preseason so far. Some other teams looking pretty good. Zion Williamson got out to a great start. Got a few dunks in his first game from Lonzo, some passes from Lonzo, who is all kinds of tatted up. No tats when he entered the NBA. Now you can hardly even recognize the guy. It's pretty interesting. But anyway, he did kind of like Lonzo did kind of what I think he's going to do. I don't think he's going to really shoot the ball a lot down there. I think we're all going to just get used to Lonzo is a okay to like good player. He's not this amazing sure, he kind of came in the league with an NBA-ready body. He was like 6'7", long. But, I mean, he just doesn't have a consistent shot. He's great at seeing the court. He's extremely quick. It's like he can run down there, find these spaces, get the ball to the right people, but I almost look at him as like a Ricky Rubio, but potentially better. Like just doesn't have that scoring gear, it seems like. But at any rate, he was able to give Zion a hot start, which I think is going to be important because we talked a little bit last week about all the pressure that's going to be on him. And certainly if you're getting off to 6 for 15 shooting and all that, that's going to start messing with your head. So Zion getting a couple close looks, a couple easy jams, and starting out his career in Pelicans preseason with pretty much a bang, pretty much like he did with college. So everybody's wondering now that they got these NBA rankings and they've got they put and certainly if Klay Thompson at 49, and I think Zion was ahead of him, and you had all these players getting all up in arms. We're going to find out soon. We're going to find out how Zion exactly translates to the NBA. It's like we all kind of think he's going to be good. We just don't 100% know how it's going to look. So as we try to do a quick Bruins minute here to cap off the show, I know the Bruins are off to a 2-0 start on the season and visit the Golden Knights in Las Vegas tonight in a match of 2-0 teams.
Yeah.
Is there any action underway in that one, or
10
are we
o'clock
still waited on that one?
Just
Okay.
about to have puck drop.
So Bruins off to a pretty solid start. Looks like Brad Marchand, found his scoring touch at least pretty early on out of the gate here.
Goaltendings look sharp. Defenses look tough.
Well, I think you wanted to see some of these guys that had a little bit of trouble scoring in the postseason last year. Like I think it was really good to see Marchand get off to that quick start, put one in. And it seems like they're going to be a competitive team again for it's like they've got a lot of the right pieces in place. It's just can they ultimately execute it? If they stay healthy, you really got to like them as a favorite, I would say.
They're still within. This season is certainly within the window for that core group.
Yeah. And like we were kind of saying last week, I think this is probably the last best shot for this group. So I think you get a motivated group. You get, kind of the last run with Chara. And again, maybe they extend it. Who knows? Maybe they extend it, but it seems like it is coming to a close at some point. It would be great to see them close this window out to actually, to execute. They were just so close last year. It's still, I'm not even a huge hockey fan. It still like kind of gets at me just how close they were, how they kind of had that in the bag, and it just, they ended up getting out-bullied, I guess, by the Blues.
Well, tonight should be a good test, going up against a lot of people's sleeper pick for Western Conference champion in the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Really good team, really gelled towards the end of last year, made a pretty deep playoff run. So they're battle-tested. They got a lot of talent, and this should be a good game tonight.
Yeah, well, that sounds great. Are there any other teams or any other things of note on the hockey minute here? I guess I'll give you your platform still.
Just to say that over in the Oilers at Islanders game that ended in a 5-2 final, you had James Neal going for a hat trick. So some a lot of goal scoring there. And Hurricanes over the Panthers 6-3. And the Hurricanes are off to the fast start. That they showed that they, another team that was gelling towards the end of the season, made a deep playoff run, and could have the makings of a good solid core over there as well. So a fast start out of the gates for the Carolina Hurricanes at 4 wins on the season to no defeats.
Yeah, sounds like some pretty good scoring in the NHL tonight too. All right, well, hey, that's going to do it for us this week on Open Season. For Brian, I'm Billy, and check us out next week, same time, same place.